Hey y'all, I hope everybody has had a good day. I've got some stuff I'm going to share with y'all. I'm going to go walking in the field, and I'm going to be careful because I got some crazy stuff to share with y'all. So anyways, I'm going to turn this thing around and here we go. Okay, I'm going to be doing a lot of scanning all around. This is copperhead season, so. But okay, our neighbor, be our closest neighbor, he lives over on the next hill. Well, Paul had went to his house for something, you know, and they were talking. And the subject of Bigfoot got, you know, Paul's talked to him about Bigfoot before. But anyways, the neighbor recalled something. Look at the deer. He said that probably about 20 years ago, his wife, which I can't talk to her about it because she passed away a little over a year ago. But his wife, I guess they had a cooler outside with stuff in it. And so she went out to get in the cooler, and they do not have a yard light in their yard. So it was very dark. And she walked up to the cooler, bent down to get in it, and she said that's when something stood up and stood up on two legs and turned around and walked off. And she said it was huge. And she went in and she told her husband, and he said, "Was he think it was a bear?" She said, "No." She said this had two legs. And so he, you know, grabbed some protection and flashlight and went out there and looked, and then of course, you know, it was gone. And you know, which I find that, you know, that was 20 years ago. So, you know, that was probably around the time, you know, me and Paul started hunting out here, maybe a little after. But anyways, you know, Paul he came home and told me about it. And then of course the other day, you know, I done a video of, you know, when I was hunting, and Paul had texted me and said he had a tree go over, and and it would have been, okay, there's a power line at the top of that big hill, right? Well, you can't really see it, that tree's in the way. There's a big hill back there. And at the top of that one, there is another power line. You can see the top of the tree line up there. There's another power line, and it runs, I guess you'd say, east to west. And then the one where my deer stand is on runs it runs more north and south. Well, so Paul said this tree went over. It would have been across the power line that he was at in the woods on the other side. And you know, he said he heard it fall, and he said it sounded like it rolled. And it was no wind that day. And then a little bit later, our neighbor, he rides a Harley. You know, they're loud. Well, he heard him come in, and then where Paul was hunting, if you know where he was sitting, if you go straight through where I'm showing you at the top of that hill, his stand is somewhere up in there, about the middle, you know, and that's a fairly long ridge line there. Well, he heard the neighbor coming in on his Harley, and he heard him, you know, shut it off, and he could hear him down there, you know, banging around on stuff. Then all of a sudden, Paul hears, he said, 2 perfect whoops, which now lets me kind of know that Friday night, no, you know, because that happened on Saturday. Friday night when Colby was out here and they were working on the 4-wheeler, and I was hearing the owls go off, you know, then I heard what sounded like a whoop that came from back in there. And I thought, surely not. But now I'm more convinced that I did hear a whoop. So, but Paul, he said that those 2 that he heard, he said they were just perfect sounding. You know, one right after the other. So, and then, you know, as I was sitting in my stand, I had just got settled in, and I heard that loud thud come from up the power line that way. Would have been on the side of the power line that I'm at, you know, because through that gap there is the power line. You can see the lines right there, how they run. But anyways, but that thud sound I have heard multiple times behind my deer stand when I was hunting. And I heard it, I guess it was about a year or so. I don't know, my years run together, y'all. Whenever Paul was down the driveway cutting a dead tree, and I got up from my swing to go to the shop to get on the 4-wheeler, and I heard that thud. I turned, I looked down that gap that leads into that little field. I didn't see anything because that's where it came from. And so I walked on towards the shop. I got almost to the shop, and heard it again. And when I turned, then I seen that reddish brown color sticking out. And that's, you know, when I had my sighting, the week of my sighting, the first time I seen him, I know it was him, it was in the same area. So I jumped on the 4-wheeler, took off up the driveway, and when we come back, that whatever it was gone. So that let me know real quick that it was something that could move, and I'm sure it was him. Because that's the reason why I got up from the swing. I was feeling uneasy. But oh, and then Paul, he stopped the other day to help a lady on the side of the road, on the gravel road. She was having car trouble, and she said, I just thought I'd let you know that there is a pack of wild dogs. And she said these are wild dogs. I don't know. That are roaming the area. And they've already killed some cattle. I was like, geez. So it's like one thing after the other you got to worry about to, you know, be on the lookout for. But that's about it as far as the stories. That was Paul. Or at least I hope it was. And I haven't had a chance to even try to listen to that audio or even see if it recorded yet, y'all. I'm going to try to do that tonight. I don't know how much audio it recorded. I've been having problems. Seems to kind of happen a lot when you expose electronics to this type of stuff. But I'll try to look at that tonight. I'm hoping that breathy sound that I heard, y'all, I don't know what it was. I've never heard anything like it. All I know is it totally creeped me out. And it was close, or it sounded close. I don't know what I heard. And I don't know if the recorder was recording, so. But hopefully it did, and you know, and I'm hoping if it did, it picked up the whoops. You know, maybe I just didn't hear. Maybe I was talking. I was real chatty and crunching peppermints. So maybe it picked it up. But anyways, that's about it that I can remember. I was rushing to try to hurry up and do this before it got too dark. And anyways, y'all, I hope y'all enjoyed the stories. But that's about it for right now. I was rushing around, you know, trying to hurry up and get out here before it got dark. I'm glad I didn't hear anything either. So, but anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and get off here. Hope y'all have a wonderful week. Remember to, you know, to pray for everyone, the sick and the hurting, and there's a lot of hurting going on, y'all. Pray for our country and the world. So much bad stuff happening. I don't understand people. I really don't. But anyways, y'all, please be safe. I love and appreciate y'all. And I hope the good Lord blesses everyone.